Good afternoon. I'm hoping that the last session of a week-long listening to talk has not gotten the better of us, and we will be listening attentively. I think as Adrian has indicated, this has been a long walk. Our former leader had the wise words, long walk to freedom, and I'm hoping that this has been a long walk and we are getting to free trade of our horses. South Africa is governed, and I guess similar to many other countries, by acts of parliaments that mandates everybody to conduct businesses that we conduct. We have the Animal Diseases Act that gives us the powers to control diseases in animals and monitor and manage such diseases. We also have a constitution that was passed in 1994 that makes animal disease and control of animals a concurrent function between the national department as well as the provincial departments. That unfortunately makes disease control a little tricky and a little difficult. As you can appreciate, diseases do not respect borders. And therefore, with our 9 provinces, the diseases do not quite respect that you are moving from one province to the other and therefore make a U-turn and go back where they belong. So controlling diseases within the 9 provinces is a bit of a tricky situation. We also have obligations in terms of international trade. We are members of the WTO, and as members of the WTO, we are bound by trade requirements and trade rules. We all know the OIE, the World Organization for Animal Health. I'm normally asked, especially by the parliamentarians, how did we get from World Organization for Animal Health to abbreviated OIE? And my simple answer is we veterinarians are special, very special. World Organization for Animal Health, abbreviated OIE. And the OIE has different chapters for managing diseases and managing trade. Some of those involve zoning and compartments. Zoning is where animal subpopulations are separated by area, and there's distinct populations, whereas compartments are subpopulations that are individually managed in premises, for example, at farm level. And in particular with horses, we have a new concept, high health status of horses that enables horses to be freely traded, those that are of an equivalent health status that can be traded amongst countries. We also have other trade partners, and our biggest trade partner when it comes to horses is the European Union. And they have a Commission decision that was initially passed in 1997. It has been subsequently amended, but the basic principles remain. And that also talks to zoning. The rest of the country, as John will indicate, is an infected zone, and only the small tip of, actually, the continent where we are currently sitting is probably the only African horse sickness-free zone in the continent. Oh, sub-Saharan, yes, you're right. As I've indicated, we have 9 provinces in the country. I hope this thing is pointing. No, it's not pointing. And I think we now know, those that are not familiar with South Africa, I think now we know where we are sitting in the country and in the continent, that little tip at the bottom where it's written Western Cape. We have 9 provinces, and the central competent authority remains the National Department of Agriculture. We are still called Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, but with effect from 1st of April, we have been given other brothers, Land Reform and Rural Development. And each province has a provincial competent authority, and all of them have their veterinary services at different levels and different structures. In 2016, we conducted a performance of veterinary services that's generally conducted by the OIE. And one of the things that they found during that assessment was that our interaction with stakeholders was not optimal. And following that inspection visit or that assessment, we then tightened friendships, relationships, partnerships with industries, not just the horse industry, the whole livestock and animal industries in the country. The OIE in its 85th general session also had a discussion on public-private partnerships, where the whole world agreed that governments alone cannot control and manage diseases. We need to have partnerships with our industries and producers if we want to achieve anything. As Adrian has said, we have a lot of partnerships with our industries. I've highlighted the South African Equine Health and Protocols because that's why we are sitting here today. But it's not the only partnership that we have as government. We have the Animal Health Forum that encompasses all producers, all livestock producers. We also have the Poultry Association and the pork producers and the game industry. And without all these industries, we would not be able to control disease outbreaks. We have, in the recent past, had a number of disease outbreaks that we have managed to successfully control with the help of industry. We also authorize a number of private vets to conduct work that we as government would not be able to conduct on our own. With regards to disease monitoring, we have diagnostic facilities that are well accredited and approved or accredited by SANAS, which is our ISO-approved, government-approved accreditation body. And the department then further goes on to approve what SANAS has already accredited as fit for purpose. And we also look at biosecurity measures when we do DAF approvals. As you can appreciate, it's not everybody that thinks biosecurity is key in research and in diagnostics. I think if there is anybody from the UK here, they will remember the 2011-12 outbreak of FMD that escaped the laboratory. And it's not because the laboratory was not up to scratch, it's just a slip-up that happened. So government then comes in and looks at biosecurity at our research institutions, and that's where DAF approval comes in. With the help of industries and private sector, we conduct surveillance, either passive surveillance, where animal owners would report any suspicion of disease to government or to their private veterinarian when such is noticed. And we also have active surveillance that we conduct. In particular with horses, we do active surveillance in the free zone for African horse sickness and for Durin to facilitate trade of horses. We also have research support in the form of the Agricultural Research Council and OBP as partners. And there's quite a lot of work that these institutions are doing. And part of this surveillance fits then into disease reporting. South Africa is very fortunate to be free of a number of diseases. We have a zone that's not quite recognized at the moment for horse sickness. We are free of CEM, contrary to what most countries have. Unfortunately, we are endemic of Durin. We do not have infectious anemia. We eradicated it in 1955. So my 4 fathers and 4 veterinarians did a good work in eradicating that. We also eradicated equine influenza in 2003, EVA in 98, and Landers in 1945. Strangles is an endemic disease in the country, but it is notifiable. The difference between these two is that an endemic, a control disease has prescribed control measures in the country, where government and industry then goes in and control such diseases. Notifiable diseases are only notified to government purely for certification purposes because we need to know what is going on in the country. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. John will take you through the most difficult and technical part of what we have done together between us and industry. And I hand over to him. Thanks, John.